Hello, family. This is Kathy with Kincaid Special Creations coming to you with episode 4 of Journal Through Life from Beginnings. I hope you're enjoying these episodes so far. If you've been watching and you haven't subscribed, please do so. I've got more coming, more individual sheets, more working out some stuff. And then we will do some Zoom calls with personal information if you would want it. But for right now, we are just going to be continuing on our journey in doing the basics. What you need to start out with, how things are going to work in together. So far I have showed you individual sheet. I have showed you all the things that go with it. I've talked to you about how I got started. I've done a lot of things. So now we're going to get down to some nitty gritty. If you're looking for a family member, and say I was looking for Robert Johnson. So, right now I have Granddaddy up. His name would be, like my neat little pen that I got at Dollar General. It has all these different wonderful colors. Used to be back in the day, I don't know if any of you all remember these pens, but when you push down one of these things, you could not get it to release. Now look at this, got a nifty little clicker, and it clicks it back out of there. Isn't that awesome? So, you can do this with a pen, you can do it on your computer, you can fill it out how you want to. I'm going to do my individual source sheet on Robert Morris Johnson. Now, what I can do, because I have Family Tree Maker, if you can also do it on Ancestry.com, it is up to you. I can do a web search, which we'll get to in a minute, or I can simply say the source title was my grandma, Dolly Johnson. And this was my grandfather. We just called him Granddad. So therefore, you know that this particular person, that is shining way too much light on that. There, let's go to the side a little bit. Makes it difficult to do it in the house. Eventually, I'm going to get outside on the porch or find a better light source for in here. Now I got shadows. Anyway, so the source detail, say I'm looking for his birth. Grandma had in the Bible Granddaddy's birth. I'm just going to put birth detail. I need to have you up on the front up there. Let's see if I can put you back up here on top and see if that helps. There we go. That's better. From Bible. Now, since then, I'll show you with the other ones what other source details we can use. The source page, don't have to worry about that because hers was right in the middle of her Bible where she had all that stuff in. So now we know that the individual source that I'm looking for is Robert Morris Johnson. That's my granddaddy. Grandma Johnson told me his full name, and she had his birth detail in her Bible. Now, if I was to look in somebody else's genealogy and found Robert Morris Johnson for his individual sheet, I would then look in, say you could say mine, my family tree program. But for right now, we're just going to fill in this part. Now you could fill this in on, say I could fill it in on me. I'm going to just use this as an example. So we're going to use me. That was my maiden name. The source title could be say mom. I'm just going to put her. She was a Johnson by the time that she had me. So Frances Johnson, which is my mom. Okay, now if you'd have got that out of a book or something, or out of her Bible, then you would go ahead and do this. But actually, Mom told me personally what my birth date was. And of course, I have my birth certificate. You could also put birth certificate on here, death certificate, whatever you're looking for. And then I can put birth certificate. Say Mom had my birth certificate. Or if I went over to the courthouse and found my birth record on file, I could put Fayette County Courthouse and what book and what page I found that on. And as we go along, I will show you the sources that I have that I need to transfer to sheets like this. I'm going to improve these. I just wanted to bring out something that would show you a little bit of details as to how you could fill out this sheet and how you could add it into their page. Put this, you could do this for an individual, just one person. Say you started out with Robert Morris Johnson and Dolly Mae Wilson, and you just put their information on here. You could do 3 lines, birth, marriage, death. And then for Grandma, you could just put birth and death. That way you would have a source, one source. I suggest you have 3 sources. But sometimes 3 sources are not easiest to find. Let me switch this over to the black ink, see if you can see it better. Okay, and the second one that I'm going to go over is a family group sheet. Say you're just looking for, Granddaddy's family. Robert Morris Johnson. Say that's the whole family, and then you can put Dolly Mae Wilson, because that would be his wife. Put out from here, married. Okay? Then you could put the date that you start looking for this on. So I'm on 3/3/25. Also 3/3/25. The address of the place that I'm going to be looking at would be mine, my phone number, and my email address because I have it. But say you're looking for this information. Say I'm talking to, before he passed, I was talking to my Uncle Pie. Say I go down to Aunt Patty's and I'm looking for this. Then I could say Aunt Patsy or her address, her telephone number in case I have any other questions, or an email address that if she has it, so that I can then go back and if I have any further questions, would be able to ask her on the whole family, the Johnson family. Just put that at the top. And then you could bring Granddaddy's family all the way down. You could put Robert, Elgin, Clarence, Rose, Patsy, and Joan. And then the day you start trying to look them up, because you may not be interested. Rob Johnson may not have been your grandfather. It may just have been somebody that you come across in your searching, and you just want to put this down in case this person that you're talking to up here might have more information on them should you decide you want it. But this is what they call the family source sheet. Just put this back in your sources so that if you come across something that is interesting on Rose, then you know that you originally spoke to, I'll put it here, I'll just put Aunt Patsy. And her phone number, I don't know it right off my head, but say we got her phone number and her email address right here. So that when I want to look for more information, when I want to talk about these people, I know that I can call Aunt Patsy at this phone number or email her a questionnaire at this email address, and then I can find more information on Granddaddy. Now, any of you that would want to, that have a question on this side of the family, if you're already looking and you have a question, you can email me at journalifefrom beginning beginning at gmail.com. Now you could put my email address in anything and you can say, okay, Kathy, I'm looking for more information on Robert Morris Johnson. What information that I have that I can share, I will be happy to email it back to you. Now, if it takes in-depth searching, we may have to give me a little bit of time to find it out. But if you're just looking for baseline information on either one of these two, give me a shout out at Journal Through Life from Beginning, and I'll be glad to get back to you. Let me put my website down here underneath us. There you go. That breaks up some of that light. Okay. Now, the next is just a general source information. You don't have to use all these short source sheets. I'm just giving you some ideas, and you see how easy it is. You go into Microsoft Word, you put you in a table, and then you go put what at the head of that thing what you want to know. You can put as little or as much as you want. You don't even have to have the lines. You could get you a notebook and start sourcing it. The reason I say that it's nice to have these separated is because if you're only wanting to look about stuff that you have for Robert Morris Johnson and all of the source details that you have, it can be on one single sheet. If you're looking for a family and you got questions on all of these, you'll know there might be 3 or 4 names down this line that you can talk to. It doesn't, if you're researching this one family, you might have all these lines filled up and all these lines filled up with different information. You might ask Aunt Pat one, you might ask Aunt Joan, you might ask my sister Janet, you might ask anybody for more information depending on who you're looking for or what information you're looking for. So with this is just a general information sheet. You don't have to have any. You might decide you want to go to the Fayette County Courthouse. I just put FCCH because it's easier. And you can put whatever date you went over there. And the address is, I should have had that address ready. But it's in Fayetteville, West Virginia. Their phone number is something 574, blah, blah, blah. And then their email address. Now, that's if they have one. You might use me as a general source information. If you have this sheet of just generalized sources, then you can go down through here. Say you're back to looking for Robert Morris Johnson. Now, these places might charge you a fee, and you could put instead of a date or do your date here and then put how much it would cost you if you ask them for a copy. Now, they won't go and look at this stuff up for you, and if they do, they are going to charge you a price to send you a copy of it. And if you go through all the trouble of calling them and asking them to look it up for you, then go ahead and pay the price so that you will have in your hand the actual source detail and put out here what you're looking for. You know, you might be, instead of the phone number, you might put what you ask for. It's entirely up to you. All these things are interchangeable, but this is just your generalized list. Then you could go into a individual list. I contacted the FCCH on this date. And then instead of putting addresses in, you could say what you asked for, how much it cost you, and what date they thought they might get it back to you. That way you can bring this back up and say, okay, the Fayette County Courthouse said they'd have me that paper by the end of March. So you're looking at 3/31. So the end of March comes, and you're looking at this, and it's still not there. You should give them another month. So if they're not here by the end of April, then you can call the telephone number and say, hey, I'm just following up on, and they'll give you the reason they haven't. Maybe it got set off to the side on their desk. There's always a reason. Don't spaz about it. There's always a reason in everything. Okay, and the next sheet, these are also generalized, but these are more area specific. Okay, say you're wanting to look up things in, let's say Roanoke, Virginia. You could put Roanoke, Virginia. You can put the person that you're looking for. Say, there's not a real name that's attached to that, so we're going to use John Doe. You can call John Doe in Roanoke, Virginia, or email him at his address, whatever, and say, hey, I have this information that I need to have researched. This too is going to cost you money. Or you might say, okay, I know that I can research the Johnsons in Chesterfield, Ohio. Not Chesterfield, Ohio, sorry. Chesterfield, Virginia. And find an email address of somebody on RootsWeb that you can now, or Ancestry.com, that you can now check that out. So you can always have area sources. This is more lined for the city and state than it is for a particular person. But when you're doing it, you want to have who you researched, where you researched it at, and who you can contact. This would probably be more likely to have the person's name of who you can contact in that city and their email address. So if you run across something on Ancestry.com that has partial information from Roanoke, Virginia, and you already have an existing camaraderie with this John Doe in Roanoke, they may be able to tell you an area. You might be looking up Canfield Street in Roanoke, and they may be able to tell you exactly where that's at. Yes, you can use GPS, but a person's information might keep you out of a lot of trouble with the craziness that goes on today. You don't want to get into any bad areas. Say you're just wanting to go visit a cemetery, which is coming up next. On my cemetery list, we could put in McGuire Cemetery. Okay. Now in the McGuire Cemetery, I have 5 people that I know of that's kin to the family that are buried there. Where is it at? It's on Willistown Road. And to get to it, you would take from Route 60, that's only, Route 60, turn onto Hopewell Road, go approximately 5 miles, and it'll be on the left. So that you can remember, or say your kids want to do anything later on, you can let them know. If it comes up in your genealogy that somebody is buried at the McGuire Cemetery and they want to see if somebody else is buried there, they will know that they need to go to Willistown. If you have the actual physical address, that's great. But then you can also put in directions as to how to get there. Now, if you have the physical address and the GPS coordinate, Then here on this one, you could put in, like for our people, you could put on the very bottom of the cemetery, the first 4 graves are Grandma and Granddaddy Wilson, Grandma Johnson, and Aunt Rose. You could put those in there because you already know, or I already know, where they're buried at. But say you're going to give these directions to somebody else in the family that now wants to find where Dolly Johnson is buried at for whatever reason. Maybe they find a grave or whatever. Then you can give them the directions straight from your cemetery source sheet instead of having to remember every single detail. And you could all, when they get there, when they've turned left off of Willistown Road into the McGuire Cemetery, all they have to do is go up a little hill all the way to the bottom, and they will find Leo Wilson, Mary Wilson, Dolly Johnson, and Rose Simons. And they're all 4 in a row. So, I mean, that would be just the easiest, simplest way of doing something. So that if you get into this, you might get into this as a hobby. You might get into it as a source of income. You might get into it as anything that you want. But if you don't do these source details when you first start, then you're going to, when you get to be 66 years old, you're going to be relying on your memory. And a lot of us, by the time we get to be 66, don't have that good a memory. So it's good that we can pick this paper up and say, oh yeah, I think we want to go and put flowers on the grave at McGuire Cemetery. And here it's located at. So then you could always put in another line that says what I said about where the grave's located at. Because to find my grandma and great-grandma and Granddaddy Hankins' grave in Jeanette Cemetery, it's a little bit more complicated. So you would want to put a little bit more detail in that. So you might have 2 lines to fill in for where the thing is located at specifically. And the last thing, I'm doing these short, guys, because I am currently in Florida, headed to Florida, probably in Florida right now, headed to a rehearsal dinner for my niece. So I'm doing this ahead of time, and I'm doing it kind of quick so that I can make sure that I have it ready. Next week, when I come back for the journal part of this, which will be going into and drawing pictures of certain cemeteries and where the graves are located at and stuff like that. Just, a generalized idea of stuff. Then I will tell you how the wedding went. Now, the last one is going to be just a website search. You could put Ancestry.com, the address for Ancestry, which is basically, you could just put Ancestry, Roots Web, Family Search, whatever, and then put the web address here. And then when you were looking on Ancestry.com, what families were you searching? And then if you're searching all families, just put all. Because you're going to know which family you're searching. You might only want to go up one side. You might be like my sister and say, most genealogies just carry up the father's line. Yes, I can do that, but I have spent my whole life doing everybody's line. I got tons of people in my family. So I would have to be more specific, even more specific than Johnson, Hankins, Kincaid, and Tony line. Because then when you get into those, Johnsons do Wilsons and Pridemore. It does Ellis and as well as Johnson. Because, the going backwards on the male side is easy because you only have to add in one name, the wife. But, you still, if you're wanting to research, you might found something on Roots Web on the Ellis side of my family that was not involved in the other websites that you look. So you're going to want to put that specific website down with the web address on it and where you found, what family you were researching. You could be researching Missouri Ellis's line. But you want to make sure that as you're doing your source system, as you're getting that together, as you're working on looking for something, You're going to get so excited that you found this, that, the other, the elusive hidden fact that you've been trying to find forever, or a birth certificate, or a Bible notation, or something that actually confirms what you have in your book is the correct information. Because it is so easy for people to just put down whatever they want, shove in whatever they want into these programs, and just keep on going, so that whatever, you might have 15 birth dates to one person. I went back far enough that we have in Ancestry.com, and I'm not faulting the system, because this is the people that put that information in there. They did not do their due diligence in order to make sure they were correct, which, going back in the centuries I'm talking about, would be hard to do. But you really need to make sure that the information that you have in there has 3 sources. It can be you, it can be your parents, it could be the Fayette County Courthouse, it could be Ancestry.com. Make sure everything matches. Make sure they've got it right. And if they don't have it right, if it is not right, then don't change the information on your sheet. You can put a little sticky note in there that says Ancestry.com has it listed as this. And when you can actually find 3 sources that says which one of those addresses or which one of those dates are correct, that's the one you'll go by. Because like I was saying, in Ancestry.com, when you go back a little farther, we have one man marrying the same woman on one of them in 6 different dates. They were different years, they were different months, they were different everything. So who's right? Who is right? So then you have to do a little bit of mystery digging. So when you get to where I'm at, mystery digging is fun. But for you to start out with, let's just start out with the basics. Let's do the family group sheet. Let's do an individual group sheet. Let's do our source paper, whichever one of these that you like. Make up one of your own. It doesn't matter which one you use. Just source it. So when somebody says, well, where did you find that information at? You can look them in the face and say, yes, ma'am, I will tell you in 1 second. And pull out your source sheet with the person that's on there and say, I found his death record at the Fayette County Courthouse. That doesn't always mean it's 100% right, but that's the official record that they're going to go by. So that will be your official record. You might find information on a census. You might find information on a gravestone. You might find information anywhere. Wherever you find your information at, the source sheets are important. So, and I'm telling you that because, and only because, I did not do that. I am lucky that now my sources will come up on this Family Tree Maker site, because when I find that I haven't got a source in there, or my source, because there's a whole bunch of sources in it, isn't one that's included, I go ahead and add this source in. So almost every one of mine are sourced. Now I have to go back and do this, because if something happens to this computer, or I lose the hard drive that it's on, I'm out of luck too. So now I have to go back and I have to fill these sheets out on the people and put it in their books as I'm doing them. All right, guys, that is enough for today. I will bring you back in 2 weeks to begin. I'm hoping to begin to show you how to fill out. I got to figure out how to get this camera behind me so that you can see what I'm looking at on my screen. Later on, I can do what they call a Zoom thing, and I might be able to do that and video. All right, my phone's ringing, guys. I'll talk to you later.